Jackson Smiley against Alex Seaholm. I think they're both about 20 years old at most. So it's pretty cool to see them up here at the top tables. Yeah, Wiegand playing bluffs it's pretty brutal. I've had the honor of getting away with a couple against him before, but you'd pretty much just kind of have to be really confident or just accept that he's going to get away with it. Fortunately, Nigel Richards barely ever. I know of like 2 phonies that he's ever played or something.
I don't know that he. On the other hand, I don't think he's the type who will play a phony deliberately.
No, he won't. I mean, he has like twice.
Deliberately, or by mistake?
Deliberately in like 20 years.
Wow.
There may be Collins going forward. For right now, we're kind of trying to follow the action and follow the narrative of what's going on. And for now, that's going to be TWL. But things can and likely will change as well.
So to give you an update on the standings, right, we have 9 games to go. In previous years, if you've joined us, you might have seen that we've done a semifinal and a final format. This year, we're going straight to whoever's at the top after 31 games. So with 9 games to go, it's far too early. Thankfully, nobody's pulled away by 4 games. And Nigel is in first place. Ori Swift is right behind him at 16.5. Nigel's at 17. Ori's at 16.5. But Nigel has 1,000 Cume points over Ori. And Joey is just below that at 16.6. And then we go down to 14.5. That half game is actually money in the bank, because that can't be taken away from you. And if you are tied with people with, let's say, 14 wins, that extra half point puts you on top. Half a game puts you on top of them.
And so a phony is what we call a fake word, a word that is invalid in Scrabble, which ultimately means you can't find it in the dictionary.
All right. So we have 9 people at 14 and 8 or higher. Nigel's at 17 and 5, and then a mitt full of people at 13. So it really is, I mean, for those people at 13 today and 14, you really have to win at least 6 out of your 7 games today.
So Jackson opened with Fee for 12. Unfortunately for him, Alec was sitting there with a J and a B. Fee takes a B on the end of it for Phoebe, which means something. But I know that anagrams to beef, which is one of my favorite
feeble?
things.
Maybe something feeble?
Maybe. Yeah, it could be someone who's someone who is feeble. That sounds right.
And just to catch you up on what's going on in the CSW division, Evan Borofsky maintains a 2-point lead over 2-game lead over everybody else, with a huge spread of 14-18 as the highest. Oh no, David Eldar's at 17-63. Let's talk a bit about David Eldar. He's current world champ.
Yeah, he's the current world champion from
Australia.
From Australia,
Aussie?
But has been living in London, as far as I know, for a while. And don't ask him about poker, but he's well known for having won a lot of money at poker at a very young age.
Why can't we ask him about it?
It's a thing that he posted online once. Don't ask me about poker.
Wow.
So I guess don't ask him about poker. But if you Google David Eldar and poker, I'm sure you'll find some good stuff.
So he sits in 7th place right now at 13 and 8. And Jason Keller, who's a player from the States, has been in the top group the entire tournament, and he currently sits in 3rd place, but only with a spread of 302, which is quite unusual in Collins, because they have so many more words. The chances of scoring higher is much greater, but on the other hand, the chances of getting killed by a lot is a lot greater. So I think there was probably a lot of volatility of winning by 200, losing by 200.
And yes, kappa is a word. Doesn't mean what we'd like it to mean. It just means a Greek letter. But, you know, it happens.
What do we like it to mean? Okay.
It's Twitch lingo.
Okay.
Is it always better to start with small words? I think it kind of depends who you ask. Some people really want to be the first to get to one of those very desirable bingos. And if you have a good set of tiles that you're leaving in reserve, playing short early on can help with that. I think you kind of see that's what Jackson has been trying to do here. Fee left to DEIS, which is pretty good. And then DE left to DEISU, which is less good, but he was kind of going for it. And I think what you're seeing now is that it didn't quite work out.
If you're thinking, you're wondering whether Alex is, just putting random tiles together. He's
Oh,
not.
that's sick.
That blank is a K,
Yeah.
Kerygma. Very, very nice find. I think there's probably far more 8s in that rack than there are 7s.
Yeah, but I saw someone found imagery out there.
Very nice.
Didn't play in this case, but
Yeah, it's great
props.
to find the words, but they have to play on the board. So imagery and Kerygma are the only 2 7s in that rack.
yeah.
And there are 5 8s. I am using a dictionary now, so I'm going to be teaching as well. Gramarye, Gramarye, Gramercy, Kerygma, which takes an S, so Kerygmas, meagerly, and meagerly can be spelled both ways, G-E-R and G-R-E-L-Y.
One thing you might see in the chat channel is putting the pound sign next to a word. That's what we use to denote words that are only good in Collins. And since we have people who play both dictionaries in this stream, you'll kind of see a running commentary of things that might be good in the other dictionary, or if we show a Collins game, things that are not good in TWL. So in this case, FY is a word. It means something. But yeah, Jackson's kind of just trying to push through and get to a bingo. Just playing off DE, DUI. That does not mean what you think it means. But
And it doesn't take an S, but it does take a T.
yeah. And unfortunately, as we'll see for Jackson in a sec, he needs something that would take an S. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's a good. I once made that word just as a 6 without, because what Jackson has on his rack, you guys try to figure it out, is a 7-letter word ending in S. So it's a 6-letter word with an S. And I played that word at Can-Am one year. I don't tend to remember my words, but it fit along the right side of the board, and it made 6 words at the same time for like 60 points, and it helped me win the game. So it's one of my favorite words now.
So I am not responsible for any Scrabble words that don't show up on Google.
Eyelines is not good. Eyeliner is good, however.
Yeah, no eye lines. So I think what you're gonna see here in a sec is clouder. It's not one that clouds.
That's a P, I believe, isn't that not?
Hmm?
That's a P.
To the R in Kerygma.
Oh, to the R, yeah. So one of, Alex opened up a triple, but it's the best of all possible worlds. Number 1, it's a blank, so it's not going to add to the person's score. And number 2, it's a K. It's not that easy to triple off that K.
And I just want to give a brief shout out here to Josh Greenway, who's really been instrumental in helping put this stream together, and just a great social media force for Scrabble. And if you'll notice there, if you're interested in checking out more about Scrabble, just head to bit.ly/ScrabbleConnect, and we'll try to connect you with some cool Scrabble stuff. I really can't emphasize enough just how much fun we have both playing the game, as well as the friends we've made and the crazy experiences we've had. Don't know where I would be without this game.
I think that's a fabulous play for Alex. I love that.
Clouder?
Wedlock
that's
off the K.
sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
nice.
It's kind of an unfortunate juxtaposition of 2 words, don't you think?
Yeah. Now I know the Collins people are going to be sad because I believe Jackson's only bingo now is a Collins bingo.
Which would play where?
Die lines.
Ooh, very nice.
So I'm starting to learn my Collins words a little bit.
So the word that Jackson has is Yelins. And because Dewey doesn't take an S, he really has nowhere to play right now.
LLZ, why would you be watching anything different? Watch MLG winter games? I don't know. Could also watch Scrabble, just saying. # Scrabble.
Where's Dave Wiegand? He's in the CSW division, the Collins division. He just played the previous game against Evan Borofsky, and he lost by about 40 points. But he's still in the top grouping.
Dave's off in his own universe, and maybe Nigel's in that universe too. It's a universe that we just wish we could be in.
Yeah, it's not easy to beat him, that's for sure. So that was good on Evan for doing that, especially first game in the morning when you're in the lead. It's not like in previous years where we had semifinals and finals, and with a 2-game cushion, he could start fantasizing that he's actually going to make it into that semifinal and then the final. But because it's going to 31, it's anybody's game.
So Scrabble words have to max out at 15 letters because it's a 15 by 15 board, but there are other variants of Scrabble. Last night we were playing this game called Anagrams, which I won't try to explain it, but I found a 16 in micro earthquakes. And so I guess, in theory there are ways. One of my friends once found counter-revolutionaries. I, in fact, in Anagrams actually got oxyfen-butazone this year, so I pretty much just retired on top after that.
That's a bucket list.
Yeah.
That's done. But speaking of pretty plays, Evan Borofsky is now playing Jason Keller. We were just talking about the two of them in the Collins division, and Evan opened he had 2 S's on his opening rack, and he decided to play small with Con, but he's giving an obscure bingo to Jason, who has AEEHOOT through the C. If anybody knows it, quick. AEEHOOT with a C. And the answer is Thikai. And let's see if he played it. Of course he did. That's kind of a dream beginning when you don't have the best opening rack and you're thinking, I'm just going to have to balance this rack, and then the guy gives you the one letter you need.
So Jackson, being one of the younger players, tends to have he plays a fair bit of phonies, as we call phonies, or fake words. So I don't actually know right now if he's considering eye lines, which is a phony, or die lines, which is Collins only. I can pretty much guarantee that Alec, who knows most of the dictionary, will challenge off either of those. I wish there were popular Scrabble games on Steam. That would be pretty sweet.
Are there any unpopular Scrabble games on Steam?
I don't think there are any Scrabble games, period, on Steam. We've got a bunch of dope coders in Scrabble, but we all work too much.
No, you can't go with eye lines because it's just known. We're at a higher level now.
Yeah, so typically you would lose your turn if a phony gets challenged off.
So what he's going to be thinking to do now, first of all, you have to get over the trauma of the fact that you've got an unplayable bingo, which, honest to God, some people have a lot of difficulty getting over with. You have to get over it. You have to move forward. Then you have to go, okay, how can I score the most? Right now, the best way to score on this board is to double-double. It's called double-double through that G, which means hitting both double word scores simultaneously. So you would double it, and then you would double it again. It's the next best thing to a triple-triple, where you would do the exact same thing. You would triple, and then triple again. He doesn't have anything right now. So the question just becomes, is that a word?
Wienily? I like it.
I don't think that.
No?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't like it. He's not even, there you go. He's challenging him. He's not even thinking about it.
So, you think he would at least have tried Wiensley or something. So in the end, Jackson ends up playing a phony after not playing one of the phony bingos. I love Wienily. I think it's a great word. It's just not a word. And Alec, unsurprisingly, gets it off the board very fast.
But I think the strategy here is that Alex will now not suspect that he's got an S on his rack. He's going to open the board and give him the Yilin spot.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that this was sort of a semi-bluff on Jackson's part, hoping that a spot for Yilins, which he does have and we know does see, might be able to show up.
We'll see. If it had been Collins, he could have played Mai and Fei. So it accomplishes everything you want to do. You want to score, get rid of your Y, undouble your E, and save a bingo-prone rack. But unfortunately, FAE is not good in this dictionary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all wanted eye lines. I wanted eye lines. It would have come off, but eye lines. If he had gotten away with eye lines, I would have put on eyeliner.
And Kerygmas, yeah, he had a great spot for it too. Oh no, the D is there from. All right, so he had no place for it anyhow.
Yeah. What's up, Tony? God of Pez, one of my first Scrabble friends from. Oh man, we're old now. 15 years ago. But welcome, Tony, from Florida. Love to see you at a tournament again one of these days. Maybe New Orleans can hang out, because I won't be playing.
So right now, Alex doesn't have any playable bingos. He's got Privater, more private, and he's got Pro-Viral, neither of which plays. So he's going to be looking to get rid of that V, undouble the R, score some points, keep the board open for himself.
So what got us into Scrabble We haven't really talked about it much today, but I guess I can give my 10-second spiel. When I was in high school, I'm 28 now, but I started playing competitively when I was 14. Like many 14-year-olds, I just, didn't do very well in high school, and I was playing online, and went to a tournament, and all these adults and some kids my age were like, hey, come hang out with us, come to this tournament, come do this. I went to Vegas, I won like $1,000 playing Scrabble, and I'm like, well, this is great, I'm going to keep doing this. 13 years later, National Scrabble Championship, it's gotten me pretty much every job I've ever had, grad school, and here we find ourselves. I'll let Robin talk about her experience now or soon.
I'll do it. How we got into Scrabble? Is that the question?
Like what got us beyond the casual level?
I'll get you there in a sec. I'm going to catch you up on what's going on in the Collinsburg because it's really exciting. After Evan, is it Jason who played Uthike? Yes, it was. Evan had the peasants and Anapest through the N in con. So that con, that little three-letter word, gave up 2 bingos. But then right away, Jason picked up a very obscure word that is not good in the North American dictionary. It's Toheroa, Toheroa, and he's able to play it to the left of Uthike, which I have no doubt that he did, and I'll go forward, and of course that's what he did. So we open this game. It's an extremely interesting board. It looks like the letter H with con in the middle, and then Uthike and peasants actually parallel next to those to each other, and then Toheroe is now opening up the triple, but Evan has B, D, G, I, I, V, W, so he's not going very far for a little bit till he gets rid of some of the crap on his rack.
So it turns out you can spell privy with 1 V, although the common spelling, you're right, is with 2 V's.
God, I've never even seen it with 2 V's. And it's not good.
It's not good?
No.
Oh, well, that's how I would have spelled it. Go figure. And this is why I don't play Scrabble that much anymore, guys, because I've forgotten every word. Once upon a time, I knew most of the words.
I'm trying to go back to some of your questions. Somebody asked what a bingo is, so you came in a little later, and we'll repeat these. So thank you for asking them again. In North American Scrabble, when you use up all 7 of your tiles and get a 50-point bonus, there you go. Physics is fun. You gave the definition. That's called a bingo. If you're playing with Collins, you tend to call it a bonus. Can you get a draw in Scrabble? Is there some sort of tiebreaker? You absolutely can get a draw, and that's where you get that half-point game. So one person is at 14.5 and others at 10.5. That's because they tied their game. When you have such a tight score like that, you have the option of not recounting, but most people will recount, and just to make sure. And they recounted, I'm sure, and found that they actually did tie, and no, there is no tiebreaker. And that's why we keep record of our cumulative score. That will be the tiebreaker. So if 2 people are tied, or even 3 people tied with the numbers of wins and losses, the person with the highest cum is going to win the tournament.
And so sure enough, Parv gets played, and unfortunately for Jackson, that means he still will have no spot for his bingo. So we won't know if it was a bluff or not on his part, but didn't work out this time. So I think we'll see him probably fish off a couple of tiles here and go for a bingo on his next turn.
Did you see what Quackle thought the best play for that rack for Alec was? Because I can't believe it would be part of it. But
I didn't see it. It seemed like a very reasonable play. I think Privy was probably a little better, but
yeah, there was no real great place to score. That was the problem.
Yeah.
It's on the screen. You went back?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that Privy.
Oh, there we go.
Was a good play.
My mic keeps moving. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why.
Robin's mic is lit.
My mic is lit.
Thank you, H2WM.
I think I've got a slippery head. I think that's really the
slippery
problem.
head. Okay.
You just come and adjust me all day, Rashad. It is really fun.
So I think we're probably going to see WYE in the top left corner from Jackson, unless he decides to play
Are you kidding me?
lines.
Next to Wedlock? Underneath Wedlock? Where do you think you're going to see YE?
WYE?
Oh, I thought you were going to play YE at 2.
No, not that desperate yet.
Oh, God. Although, funny story. Dave Boyes, who is doesn't play, I don't think, very much anymore, but obviously one of the better players of the game ever from Canada, told me the story once where he was late in the end game and he played YE saying, I've got the only A, I've got the only A, and forgot that there's like 16 other letters that go in front of YE. I've got a great audience here with Sarah. Thank you so much. She's laughing at everything I'm saying.
Just want to give a quick shout out to this guy, Cesar Del Solar, who was nice enough to make this wonderful Twitch bot for us.
Oh, did he?
And he
Hey.
even managed to throw in Define Kappa as returning Kappa, and I'm going to give Cesar a hug after that because it makes us look even 5% legit, which is great. Yeah. Anyway, looks like YE comes down, and it looks like Alec is going to bingo for a lot of points. 'Cause I think that's probably a word.
No, there's no bingo in his rack.
Oh, there's no Zinkier.
No, there's no bingo in his rack, from what I can see. Not even an 8. No 7s, no 8s.
Oh, I thought that was Collins for some reason. Learn something new every day, or you anti-learn something. So you guys are just keeping me like real. I've forgotten everything at this point, so.
If he wants to use the blank, he could play Kionize, but I don't think he's going to want to do that. Zerking is not a verb.
And it looks like Jackson isn't even
wow.
holding it, and I think that's kind of the difference between these two players is Alec knows pretty much all the words. Jackson does not even close to know all the words. He's got excellent strategy, and that's kind of what's propelled him towards the top of the game.
Okay, everybody, what's the really easy anagram of lentils? Just transpose the vowels. You get lentils. So Alec is rewarded for his phony with the blank. He's got a T, so he will be able to hook under Dewey, so no matter what, he will be able to bingo this turn. The question is it the best one? Let's see if we can find something through the RN. Let's get our Nigel on. AEFNORST. Let me see if I study these 9s and 10s and all that crap, so let me see if I can figure something out.
So with Alec's turn here, he does have bingos. The hint I'll give some of you who don't necessarily know some of the Scrabble short words is that DUI takes a T, do it. But can you find any words that Alec might be able to play here?
He does have a 9 through the RN discontiguous. He does have
I
one.
do see that one, yeah. But feel free to shout out into the chat if you see a good bingo here, especially maybe a 9. Seafront is TWL.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. It's a bit of a nice summer word, too. Somebody was asking how you pronounce parve.
I think you could give
Sarah and I should have that parve. It's parve, right?
Parv,
Yeah, or parv.
People say parv.
We say parv.
There's 2 spellings, I believe. It's also spelled
Yeah, some do parve, some do. I do parv personally.
I pronounce it based on how it's spelled, but I'm also not.
Yeah, I actually
Jewish.
use it in life.
I've only used it around friends who keep kosher.
Can we have eggs? Is it parv?
So Collins is not a dude. It's referring to the dictionary that they play internationally. It's made by HarperCollins, the dictionary company, or the dictionary company. The NASPA tile is just a blank. Blanks are kind of like your chance to brand out your Scrabble tiles.
The tournament's 31 rounds altogether. We are on round 23. We have 2 contiguous or side-by-side tournaments running, one with that Collins Dictionary for people who want to play with the World Dictionary, and one with the North American Dictionary. And so after this, there will be 8 games to go, 7 games to go. 8 games to go. 8 games to go. So he's lining up Fatsos to go underneath Dewey and make Do It.
Do it!
But he's going to what's called fork the board. So he's going to create a bingo lane under and on top of Fatso, of the F, and he's going to stick an S in all those other vowels on the right. So the board's really, really opened up right now.
Yeah. It's it basically means kosher or not exactly.
Made without
but
milk or meat.
right. Yeah. So it's
It's a
Jewish and-
neutral food, which means
Yeah.
because in kosher laws you are not allowed to mix dairy and meat, but we do have some neutral foods that actually you can eat with either or.
Okay.
Unfortunately, whipped cream and meat do not go together at Jewish weddings. Therefore, the desserts tend to be a bit styrofoamy.
Mm. And hi to you too, Dan.
Hamburger helper. I don't believe that's kosher. Well, I think it's just spices, though. Right?
It's like, does
It's just spices.
Spices.
The meat you buy on your own, so you can
Yeah.
buy kosher meat.
Yeah.
It's just spices. Yeah, we'd have to check to see if there's a little kosher thing on the box. It also would have to be manufactured in a facility that was kosher in
Yeah.
order to
The
qualify.
plural of fatso is not fatsai, unfortunately.
Or fat sis,
Fats.
as in
Good-
Stefan.
Good one.
You sounded just like the NPR thing.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. We are actually going to be bringing you a CSW game now.
No, we're not.
Wait, still not. I don't know who's playing what
Yeah,
tournament.
I'll
we're staying.
handle that.
You
Robin.
handle that, okay. I'm just watching the CSW game where Evan is working his way through 3 U's on his rack.
Yeah, so 276 for Alec, 150 for Jackson. It's
Jackson
gonna
is
be hard
paying.
hard for
yeah.
Jackson to win. He's the word knowledge or lack thereof is very much come back to haunt him.
Yeah, the Zerking is gonna definitely.
Zerking and Weena Lee. It's just, even if it was like an intentional phony to try to get a spot, just not quite worth it.
Yeah, let's try to get. Alec
Wabin,
here
you did
afterwards,
not
last week.
hear CSW. I mean, you heard it, but our next game is going to be Rafi Stern against Ori Swift. If any of you come from the MTG world, Ori's done very well there.
Ori's
Wanted to-
Hmm?
Hmm?
Ori's the reason that
Yeah. Ori is in fact probably the reason that we are doing this stream here with Rashad.
Because he brought him in.
Yeah, from the Magic world.
So Jackson's dealing with a mitt full of consonants. Fortunately, those are consonants that go nicely together and have the possibility of actually scoring. There's that beautiful O that he can play through in Fatsos and open up the triple. But he is, as Conrad said, it's going to have some difficulty catching up. But there's still a lot of tiles to go. But 120, that's 2 bingos. He's down basically 2 bingos.
If you challenge a real word, you lose your turn. If you're playing internationally, your opponent would get usually 5 points. We're going to try not to answer this question all day in terms of whether or not there's going to be Collins games. We're going to be following the action for now. Right now, we want to focus on the story, the main storyline for the tournament, which is TWL. And depending upon how things shake out, we may switch to Collins.
Right, and we're also following the energy of the standings. So if it turns out that somebody's running away with the tournament, it's not so much exciting to watch that person just continue to win the tournament. So we'll probably switch over to the division that there is a race going on, which is far more exciting to watch.
Yeah. So that's your official update on whether or not there will be Collins. We're not sure yet.
Right now, Jason is actually beating Evan 233 to 167, which is good news for everybody in Collins land because as Evan was starting to pull away from the crowd, another win would have put him possibly 3 games ahead of everybody else. So not good for Evan, but good for us in terms of watching. We should tell everybody what Gibsonize is. Somebody's mentioning it.
Gibsonizing basically just means that you are so far ahead in the tournament that you cannot lose no matter what happens. And it's named after a player named David Gibson, who has won nationals twice over the years, as well as Scrabble Superstars and Scrabble All-Stars, which were on ESPN back when I was a wee lad.
So about 4 years ago?
Like last week? No. I wish I could have been around for it.
So we see Alex scored well by getting rid of his ox, but he also blocked the triple this way. And he also blocked bingos underneath Fatso's and on top of it. So even though he's left now with a lot of heavy tiles, there's a lot of strategy that went into that decision. I'm still looking to see if there's going to be a playoff between the EI on row 2 and epilogue, or something just to. I thought maybe you could do something with the X, but that wasn't happening this round.
For those of you who play Collins, the Collins bingo here is just filthy. It is absolutely disgusting in the most incredible way. It has a combination of letters that go together that I have never seen before.
Oh, Tip Newis. But he had Dupioni too, does he not? Duopioni.
There's no letter for it.
Yeah. Oh, no, blocked it. Fox blocked it. He would have played it over Fatso's.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
I couldn't count O's and I's. I thought he needed another O. Go figure.
That's okay. Wow. And I see, now I'm reading the chat. I see that you guys are way ahead of us. Well, we told you we're not using dictionaries, so it might take us a little time. What are we going to do about that Zerking? Oh, my goodness. Wonder how Jackson's looking pretty good, though. He's looking pretty,
I think Jackson knows that I think Jackson knows what Jackson doesn't know. And that's fine. He's a university student. I think he's studying computer science these days at University of Toronto, and it can be hard to find time to learn a dictionary when you're trying to get your degree, and that's totally reasonable.
Well, I see that Quackle is recommending that Jackson start becoming more volatile on the board. Fox really, really closed everything up. And he's going to need to make the board very volatile, because Lintel's also, he's going to have to play to the right of it. Here we go. So he's starting to open the board up. For some reason, Quackle had recommended UPO, just underneath Wedlock, opening up the triple with a U.
And so just to give a bit of context, since sometimes we forget that we're a few seconds ahead on the stream, but in a sec you're going to see Unzip come down here. And that's what Robin is saying, is kind of opening up the board in a way that's a bit harder to
Gordy Lou. Oh, I think it's with a Y.
Yeah, it's with a Y.
Okay. Rigadoon to an N. Unfortunately, right now, well, he's got a few options. By playing Unzip, he saved an O. So he saved one of the only two letters that go in front of the P, the O and the U. So that was a good play. He didn't have any letter that goes next to the I, however, other than an O. There is that beautiful S from Fatso's. I'm sure that sounds funny somewhere.
Yeah. Well, Scrabble's a funny game, guys. I think what you are going to see here is something like maybe VAW that continues to shut down the board. Should probably take more than a brief look, but Alex in pretty commanding position here.
Erasmus, that's a great question. Erasmus asks, what happens when a player's time runs out? Does the game end, or does he lose the game, or does his opponent get extra points? You have as much time as you want. If you want to go over, that's your business, but for every part of 60 seconds, you lose 10 points. Sometimes it's the best strategy to go over, because if the play that you make scores enough for you to win, even with losing the 10 points, it's worth it.
Yeah, I made that mistake once when I was 14. I lost a tournament because I didn't wait long enough to find that winning word. But Jackson's sitting here hoping for a B for obrigado. Not that that's an English word, but it's a pretty sweet find.
If you go 10 minutes over, you forfeit. I don't even know if I knew that, because I've never, ever in 30 years have ever seen that happen.
I think it has happened, maybe even happened this year. I've fallen asleep during a game before. Yeah, I was actually playing in a tournament. I was playing a former national and world champion and fell asleep. The worst part is that it was on my time.
If you fall asleep, make sure it's on your opponent's time.
Yeah.
Although eventually it will become your time.
Right. So as it turns out, I actually had a really good rack and bingoed when I woke up, and it was only a couple minutes, but you know,
Did it come to you in your sleep as a gift from God, from an angel?
probably. I ended up winning the game by like 200, but
Oh my God. And that's a really good question about Scrabble etiquette. If you see your opponent fall asleep across the board, what do you do?
you thank your lucky stars.
Well, on the one hand, they look so tired. You want them to sleep, get refreshed.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other hand, to win a game under that circumstance is pretty cruddy. So there is ethics of Scrabble.
You see your true colors come out.
It's it's actually really, really true. That's another one of the life lessons that Scrabble gives you is like, was that ABC show, What Would You Do?
Mhm.
It really gives you lots of opportunities to test your ethics.
Yeah, I actually really strongly dislike the play that Alec just made. I don't really see any point in opening the board here, opening an E and an S when you have the game on total lockdown. I'm not really sure why he didn't decide to play underneath Parv, Vega, Va, anything like that. Kind of just shuts the board down, which is really what you need here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for people to understand, the reason why Va, for example, under Parva blocks the board is that that row to the left of unzip is now unusable because that Va is in the way. And it just keeps forcing Jackson Smiley to make small plays for low points just to get that bingo in, and that's a sure path to losing a game.
But what do we know? Alec drew a bingo, so who needs math? Just do the thing and let the thing work, and then play the thing, and then do other things.
And he can play it to the S too.
Yeah.
Which, as long as Jackson does not have a bingo, will stay open because when you're behind, you're not blocking that S.
Yeah.
Unless you're Nigel, I think he would. And then he'll just pick up something obscure to play around it.
But it looks like Alec is probably going to win this game pretty comfortably.
Batwings
Yeah,
is a phony. Oh, it doesn't take an S.
Yeah,
It's
Batwing.
it's
Oh, yeah, it doesn't.
adjectival.
It doesn't take an S. That said, it's still kind of like, dang.
Well, if he didn't know Zerking for sure, I don't know if he'll know Batwing, but it will be incumbent upon Jackson to challenge it.
Yeah.
Even if he knows Batwing, he has to challenge it if he's not 1,000%. Well, I think he just needs to.
Yeah.
And there's no way that he can know that Batwings is good because it's not. So there has to be some doubt.
Yeah. Caramel.superfan, define it without the S, and then you'll get the answer for what it means.
It's adjectival, I assume.
Yeah.
That was a Batwing play?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Arrowbot will not recognize the phony. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of how games can go in Scrabble. If you don't know the words, that can be tough. You can only do as much as you can. Yeah, wing beat would be a cool one here. I noticed that. And here comes Batwings. I don't know. Anyone want any like really fast prop bets on whether or not that's getting challenged?
I don't see anybody saying hold. I don't know that I would be able to challenge it. I know Batwing. So
I would have instant challenged it because I did know that it wasn't good.
Oh, wow.
But,
no, Alice got away with 2, so there you go. He deserves to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's no question that Alec is.
Okay, I see Agio coming down really quickly to the right of Batwing.
Yeah, so we're gonna see here. Jackson's pretty much gonna have to concede the game at this point, and he'll probably play Agio over on the right. And it's a good play, but it's too little, too late for sure. It's Alec with his wonderful score of 420, and Jackson with 271. I'll refrain from making any jokes, but
What are you finding?
420. Sorry, I said we would we'd pull back a bit. Sorry guys, it's early. It's only like 11.
Management's going to come down soon, okay?
I know.
Like, we don't want management here.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
really hope nobody scores 69. I swear to God, I'm going to leave the room.
Anyway,
You've been living in San Francisco how long now?
majority of my life.
We're about to in Toronto, become legal, eh?
Yeah, well, that's great. So what methods do pros use to keep track of what letters are left in the bag? You probably can't quite see it on their score sheets, but you keep score obviously, and then you usually have every letter written out, and you just kind of cross them off as they get played. Some people will have tally marks to keep track of them that way. It's kind of whatever you like most, but it's perfectly legal and in fact quite essential to do.
And that's actually one way you can tell an old timer from a new timer, because I started Scrabble so long ago we didn't have tracking sheets, and to this day I just bring a coil. What's it called? A coiled book,
Book.
a notebook to it, and I write down the tiles A, B, C, D, E, and I put all the high scoring tiles on the bottom, and everybody else just pulls out one of their pre-made sheets, and they always have to sit there and wait for me to fill out the whole thing. But I can't stop doing it. It's just the way I did it, and I can't get used to the new one.
So how does it feel to have been defined in the chat?
Aww.
I cannot be defined. Well, one of my last names can be defined.
But as a songbird, it behooves me to go, "We love you, Conrad."
No.
Oh, yes, we do.
My face is hitting my palm right now.
Bye, bye, birdie.
No,
Not your favorite?
No.
You're kind of like Elvis. You're an Elvis surrogate.
Yeah, but I can define one of my last names because I have too many names.
Oh, you're a Bassett. There you
Yeah.
go. But there's no Bouchard.
No Bouchard. What's the shortest word? Punchboard, I think.
No relation to Jeannie Bouchard, right? From tennis fame?
No. It's like pretty much the most common last name in Quebec. So.
You missed it, but they actually defined Pollock as well.
Oh, I'm.
And Daniel is an anagram of nailed and denial.
Yeah. Correct, my Strudel. You are not allowed to have any words allowed. Although I do believe in Thailand tournaments, they do give you a list of the 2s and the 3s. And in general, I think if you're playing at home and you don't know the 2s and the 3s, I think it's very reasonable to play with a list like that. It'll increase your score greatly.
Oh, yeah. You need to learn the 2s.
Yeah. But
every year I say the same thing. They're
Yeah.
the amino acids of Scrabble. You need to know them. Sarah loved
Yeah.
that one.
But I think, yeah, just in general, like, even if you don't know them, play with them. Open the word list up, have them ready. Not that I'm encouraging cheating per se.
It's not
but,
cheating. It's
yeah.
a way. It's just. It's a crutch.
Yeah.
And the more you play, the more you'll get those 2s memorized. In fact,
Exactly.
if you just take an hour, honest to God, you will learn them all.
Yeah.
You
And
know most of them. So just make a list of the ones that you don't know. You don't need to learn AN or OR, right? So get rid of those. Just study the other ones
Yeah.
and let them become just a part of your thinking constantly. Once you get those 2s, then you start making the 2 to make 3. What can I put in front of the 2 letters? What can I put after them? And then you study all the ones that are not 2 to make 3. So like hour. OU is not a good word and UR is not a good word, but hour is a good word.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You do it methodically.
And then, even if you don't decide to become, like, the next Scrabble champion, if you're going to destroy all your friends, and at the end of the day, like, that's all we want, right? To beat our friends at Scrabble.
I'm
Yeah.
crying, my strudel. You're my little strudel for saying that. Thank you. Cherry or apple? What do you prefer? I'm a cherry person, although
Alright.
I'll take the apple.
If someone's made a good one, I don't discriminate against food. There's a word on that board that defines me very well, although doesn't show too badly.
A fun steal of RPD is admiralship. Yes, I was just thinking that the other day. I go in the shower and think, what's a good steal of RPD?
Tony, I wonder if you came up with that because of RPD plus Lahar was just played and
Who
maybe
is that,
something
Tony? Who?
else.
Got
Tony
it.
Tony Clater.
Oh, hi, Tony. And thanks
Long.
for the nice thing you said earlier on. I did see it. That was very sweet.
Are we openly flirting? Not that I know of. Not typically I tend to do, but
A little young. No, we like having fun. Listen, this is a long day. There's a lot of complicated stuff that we're talking about because Scrabble is a complicated game. There's a lot of strategy. And our strategy with you guys is to both teach you and to have some fun with you.
No unlist. Seems like it should be a word.
It should be a word,
but
right?
It's not.
Unfriend. Do we have
Unfriend.
unfriend yet?
Sounds like it would be good in Collins.
It'll be good in Collins. It won't. Like we don't have a lot of those Facebook words and.
Unfriend is TWL
abbreviations.
now.
It is. Oh yes. Okay. Good. Good to know.
But in Collins, Facebook made it into the dictionary. My homies at Google made it into the dictionary. Even
Google's a verb there, right?
Google's a verb, yeah. And amazingly, MySpace also made it into the dictionary.
Really? It's one
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Is it a verb?
It's a verb, I believe, yeah.
Well, eBay. eBay is a verb. It's good.
No, it's a
and
noun. eBaying, eBayer.
Oh, that's a noun. eBaying is so it takes an S. You know, one of the new words we got a couple of years ago was eventing, which takes an S. It's not evented. It's eventings is
Yeah.
good. So you need to know all this stuff, guys. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You want to be a good player, you need to know this stuff. But it has to be like really fascinating to you, or else it's going to be difficult to maintain.
Yeah. I guess Google got added into TWL. So one thing we will kind of preface this a bit. There was a word list update in 2014, and I know I speak for myself when I say around then, after I won nationals, I went off to grad school, and I didn't really keep up with the words. I know Robin also went back to school, and I don't know if you had as much time to study during that time. So
I did not play a single game of Scrabble across the board for over 3 years. This was the hardest, most, consuming thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I missed you guys terribly, but I did practice every day on Aerolith, every single day. And I'm ready to come back.
yeah. So if you see us like sounding like idiots with regards to what words are or aren't good,
We're doing our best.
yeah, just understand we've been off doing other things, but generally we know what we're talking about, at least in terms of strategy. You guys have word lookup programs and a wonderful chat full of competitive Scrabble
There you
players
go.
to
There you go.
call us out when we say things like unfriend is Collins only.
But I will say this, I'm going to brag a little bit, that we have these wonderful tableaus that go up on the board. Somebody named Dan Stock makes a tableau using all 100 tiles, and he makes up sentences that are relevant to what's going on. And he said in that tableau to find, because we're in Buffalo, find the word in buffalo herds. And in less than, I think, 5 seconds, I said shuffleboard.
Yeah, I got that in
I don't know
under a
how
couple
that
seconds too.
But that's what happens when I do Aerolith, for example. I go up to the 14s, and really the way I do it is that I do free-floating attention. I don't actually try to figure it out. I look at it, and the image of the word comes to me. And if it comes to me right away, I just put it right down. I don't even go, does it have 2 eyes? The word I'm thinking of has 3 E's. I don't. I just write it down because I've learned my intuition is correct. So
Yeah.
shuffleboard came very quickly for that reason.
My problem there was like, wait, are we at a shuffleboard tournament? Because that's how I parsed it. And I was like, I love shuffleboard, don't get me wrong, but I'm a little better at Scrabble. I know there are shuffleboard championships, but
To answer your question, Vincent, I don't know what you mean by you're writing. I'm trying to comprehend the game. So if we look at the word evits and the word above it, which is lahar, do the 2 words, vertical words, have to make sense? Oh, now I understand what you mean. Yes, of course they do. They have to make acceptable 2s. That's one of the things we're trying to get into the North American Dictionary is more of the world 2s, because it really opens the board up. If you have a bingo, for example, and the only way to play it is to make IO. In our dictionary, only OI is good, but in the World Dictionary, both IO and OI are good. So yes, they have to make sense. Otherwise, you've played phonies. Otherwise, you could just play any word that you actually want. It does. Oh, I'm going to play ZK next to each other. Okay,
Yeah.
No, you can't do that.
yeah. In terms of the best dictionary to use when playing with your friends, probably the easiest dictionary to get access to if you're not a member of the North American Scrabble Players Association would be the OSPD. We're on 5.
You can get that at
now.
any bookstore.
Yeah, you can get that at any bookstore or that Amazon place. You could probably get it on Google too. I can't help my competitors. I'm sorry. Yeah, basically, I would probably go look for the OSPD, but definitely consider checking us out at bit.ly/Scrabble Connect and learn a bit more.
The important thing is to have the dictionary,
Yeah.
because this way you don't have fights.
Yep.
If it's in there, it's good. If it's not in there, it's not good. End of story. And I don't care if it's in a different dictionary. I don't care. If you agree to use the Scrabble dictionary, that is your word source. It'll make your life a lot happier.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like they're having a discussion. Is the game over? Oh, no, he's about to
So
play.
it looks
There we
like
go.
the game is about to end here as Jackson is going to play Quean. I'll let you guys define that for yourselves.
Oh, here's an example. I'm looking at the CSW game where Jason's about to beat Evan if he hasn't already. And he had a blank and an X on his rack and nowhere to play. He had oxtail plus a blank. So oxtails are foxtail. And there was nowhere to play, but an example of an unexpected hook. So the word sued was on the board, S-U-E-D. And he extended it. He added a letter after it. Can you guess what that is? What would go after S-U-E-D?
And thank you, Sergeant G. Unicorn. We were glad that you were able to watch with us.
So the letter is E, to make suede. It's always hard when the new word has a different pronunciation than the original word. So he made the blank an E and he played extol to the triple, hitting the X on the double letter and scoring about 62 points for that. So like one of my favorite ones is sticking an O on flaming.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. The Flaming O.
The flaming O.
Yeah. Nice one, Syphoid.
If you can think of any, guys, type them in. They're so much fun. Thinking of unexpected letters that go in front or after. For example, here's another one. The word plink takes a U in front to make uplink.
Yeah. Flaming and Flamingo is definitely my favorite one.
It's the one I always remember.
Yeah. I like Stamped.
and
Carl.Superfan
Stampede.
said it literally
There we
at the
go.
same time. Stampede is a great one. You know those crackers, saltines? If you add an S on the end, you get saltiness, which seems pretty fair.
Yeah, the ones where you stick an S already on a word that has an S and it becomes something else.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one.
If you have zebras, and
Zebras?
you mix a zebra with a donkey, you get a zebras.
That's a great one. So that's one of the beauties of Scrabble is that you constantly have to think. You have to look at the board and go, my God, does this word that's on here actually take another letter that I can hook onto it? And to be very, very careful not to give your opponent that opportunity. Oh, and another great one is Nana, and in front of it is Janana, so it takes a J in front of it, if you can believe it. And in Collins, in front of the word Joe, J-O-E, it takes an S in front of it. And Quiz takes an S in front of it for squiz, which we
Squiz?
don't get to have. Yeah.
No squiz.
No squiz.
Spaghetti and Spaghettio, that would be pretty sweet.
Say that again?
Spaghetti and Spaghettio. At one point, I was playing a game online. I played the word Wilco was played. It means like not the band, but like it's a way of like holding a violin or something. So I hooked an X on it to make the last name Wilcox. That's not a word. So yeah, in general, probably not the most exciting game of the tournament, but I think you kind of see really the difference of how one player was really a little bit ahead of the other one.
And just the strategy that's involved in maintaining control of the board so that the person doesn't score, which he didn't do, but it didn't cost him anything. So, sometimes you do the absolute wrong thing and you win the game. So that's the part of the wacky world of Scrabble.
Yeah.
So I think we have an interview, right?
I think we may have an interview coming up in a couple of minutes with Alec, perhaps. But in the meantime, we are going to be seeing Rafi Stern, who you see over there in 11th right now, going up against Ori Swift in 2nd. Some of you may know Ori from the competitive Magic the Gathering world.
And we're going to have an interview with Alec, and we'll have an opportunity to ask him about Zerking and Batwing. If you have any questions for Alec, please type them in, and we'll try to convey them if we deem them worthy. So make sure they're worthy.
But it looks like in the meantime...
as Rashid fills out his Starbucks order, we're ready to go to video.
we're going to give you a... Yeah.
It's the interview first. Okay, we're going to wait for Alec.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Set up for interview. You're absolutely right. Would you like me to take it? You want to take a little break?
That I think will be great, yeah.
Okay.
But it looks like Nigel has won his last game against Ori, and Joey Malik got absolutely pummeled. 500...
Pulverized.
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 Oh, yeah.
What was the score? 253 to 565. Is
lost
that what
by
that?
312. That to Joel Sherman, that is not something you see very often. That's I don't know. That's just rough. But Nigel's back to a game and a half ahead, which is not horribly surprising, but kind of see what happens from there. Losing by 312 is not something that happens every day.
Thank God. We'd have a lot of people
thank-
jumping off window
thank
off of roofs. Roofs.
Yeah.
Roofs? What is it? Roofs?
Roofs?
I don't like
Roofs.
when people say roof, personally. What do you think? Roof.
I mean, I respect wherever you come from, whatever you say.
Please. Roof.
Roof?
Woof. But the dog
I-
goes woof.
I
don't
I
know.
lived with a Wisconsinian for a while, so he would eat his bagels on the roof.
Diane, don't forget me, honey.
So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully we'll have Alec down here in a minute.
I want
we're
my
doing
Starbucks
we're
too.
doing coffee orders right now. Scrabble players